Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning I want to talk about contrarian indicators from major publications. I think historically there's been some calls by Barron's, which is a major financial newspaper, even Time Magazine, Newsweek, calls on the economy, stock market, and inflation that turn out to be completely wrong. And I received the recent publication or edition of the Economist magazine, which I know is a globalist magazine, but I decided about 6 months ago that I should subscribe to it to see what they're thinking, what the enemy is thinking, so to speak. And yeah, this is this week's cover. It's about Britain, the Scilly Isles. So it's not really a cover this week that I wanted to touch upon, you know, a contrarian cover, but a contrarian story. It's on page 73 under Finance and Economics, The Madness of Crowds. Here you go. And it's about cryptocurrencies. It says, the flaws revealed by the cryptocurrency bust make a lasting revival unlikely. So this was written just a few days before yesterday, where we've seen a major rise in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So I touch upon this today. Before that, of course, I'll have a look at the markets and what they're doing this morning. It's 7:45 a.m. London. So let's get to it. We've got spot gold up just under $1 at $12.93. The range has been $12.90 to $12.94. So fairly quiet overnight. Silver 15.18 down about. I said silver 15.18 up 7 cents or 0.5%. Range has been 15.07 to 15.21. The Dow is at 26,250, up just under 1/3% or 76 points. S&P 2877 up 10 points or 1/3, and the Nasdaq 100 is up 40 or 0.5% at 7540. Just wanted to show you a chart of the S&P here. We've been talking, of course, about the head and shoulder that's been evolving since the beginning of last year. So it looks like that right shoulder doesn't want to come down. So, you know, technical analysis is not an exact science, but it's still there though, and we're reaching actually the level we're right near the top of January 2018, which is roughly right here around 2880. So yeah, the right shoulder could go higher than the left shoulder, but so the only thing that probably would negate that, of course, is if we go past the high from October 2018, which is around 2940. We're still a little bit away from that level, but we'll need to keep an eye on that. So that's the stock market. Currencies, fairly quiet. We're just seeing the pound pick up here, really, actually. Cable, we're at 131.65, up 0.25% or 34 pips. Brexit, I'll just leave it to you to follow the headlines. I mean, it's so uncertain. Not sure what will happen there. Yeah, it's just a big mess. Euro 112.20, that's up 16 pips. Dollar yen is up 18 pips or 0.17%, 111.51. Dollars down 0.2% against the yuan, Chinese yuan, at 671. Crude oil. Yeah, crude oil continued to go higher. I wonder when markets will start worrying about crude oil, because yes, it's driving the energy sector higher, but we all know that energy is a huge part of the economy, that oil is very important. And if oil gets too high and people's spending habits change if they're going to pay too much for fuel. Not only people, but companies and everything else. So right now, WTI is up 0.5%. We're almost at 63 now. It's at 62.88. Brent is almost at 70. It's up 50 cents or 0.7% at 69.78. It's funny because nowadays it seems like strong oil prices or high oil prices help the stock market. I remember 20, 15 years ago, the market, financial markets didn't like high oil prices. So it's kind of weird. So yields are rising. So the improvement in the stock market and commodities, oil price has given yields a bit of a boost. That means people are selling bonds again. So the 10-year yield right now is at 2.52, up almost 4 basis points. The 3-month hasn't really moved, so it's at 2.43. So it has disinverted the curve by 9 basis points. So last week we saw the depths of inversion. Quite volatile, I would say. Volatile, I would say, for this kind of market. But the other thing I wanted to point out that I've heard from other people, and I've talked about this as well here in my videos, about leverage loans, which are kind of a way to finance corporations. I've talked about corporate bonds as well, that could be a problem. I think during the '08 crisis, corporate bonds of a certain, how can I say, rating, like BBB, I think, were like 500 to 600 billion market. Now it's I think 2.8 trillion market. And yeah, we need to keep an eye on it. I listened to an interview of Steve Eisman. He is the guy from The Big Short. He's looking at corporate bonds as well, even though he thinks it might not cause problems, but it could be something that is part of a, that comes out into the fore if there is a crisis or a bear market or a recession. Back to cryptocurrencies and the Economist. Is this going to be the Economist bottom? Is this just a blip in the cryptocurrencies and we're going to see them come back down? Well, having followed the cryptocurrencies for many years, and especially recently in this, ever since the end of 2017, beginning of last year, where we've been in a bear market, we've had a lot of spikes like we've had today, and they don't last too long. This one has lasted for a while because this morning, as I speak here, Bitcoin is almost at 5,000. It's up another 1.5%. Yesterday morning it was up 12. So yeah, it's holding on. Ethereum is up 1.5. EOS, which is a cryptocurrency that I'm invested in quite a bit, that's up another 3.24%. It's at 520. LITECOIN is up almost 5%. Bitcoin Cash 6.5. So yeah, all the major cryptocurrencies are doing quite well. And I think it looks like Bitcoin led the way, which is encouraging. Aside from precious metals, of course, which I still recommend as insurance against monetary mayhem. I've spoken in the past that I have a basket of cryptocurrencies, including EOS, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and some others, as speculation. And I think there is a future for the blockchain. And cryptocurrencies is not just about currency, it's also about applications on the blockchain. So let's have a look at this article here. Is the Economist called the bottom? It's quite amazing that they brought out this article a few days ago and all of a sudden cryptocurrencies go up. So the flaws revealed by the cryptocurrency bust make a lasting revival unlikely. I've read the article. I won't go through the whole thing, but they compare the cryptocurrency to the Dutch tulip craze in 1636. They compare it to the South Sea bubble in London in 1720. So they talk about how Bitcoin is still, when things get busy, when markets get busy like now, it takes time to do transactions, which is true, but they don't cover, they talk about how fast and the scalability, but they don't talk about other cryptocurrencies that have come along, like EOS, for example, which is very scalable. And they talk to a computer scientist from the University of California, Berkeley. And this is what they say. The second problem is that the technology is too clunky to operate at scale. Cryptocurrencies are unlikely ever to achieve mass adoption, says Nicholas Weaver, a computer scientist at University of California, Berkeley. Unlike Alipay or WeChat Pay, cryptocurrencies are intended as new financial system rather than extensions to the current one, but they have serious design flaws. Partly yes, but cryptocurrencies have been around for about 10 years now. I think Bitcoin got kicked off in 2009, and we know that there are a lot of projects working on this, but they only focus on Bitcoin in this article. So I just thought it was interesting that they've come out with this article, and I was actually thinking over the weekend this could be, the Economist bottom for cryptocurrencies. So let's have a look at the Bitcoin charts. I won't look at the other currencies, cryptocurrencies, even the ones that I like, because I think it's more important to have a look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is still the dominant cryptocurrency. So here's a weekly chart going back to the end of 2013. So you see here the major move we made in 2017, the major drop we've had, and ever since last year in November, we made a big drop from above 6,000, and so we've been stuck here for about almost 6 months, and finally you can see here, this is a weekly chart. Of course, we spiked above 4,200, which is a key resistance, and also 4,400. Next target, we're still far away from there, is back to the levels we saw prior to the big drop in November last year. What about the daily chart? Well, there's the daily chart. These moving averages are 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages. So you can see that the move yesterday was quite a big move. So where is it going to go now? Well, we could see a little bit of a correction back down, but technically now 42 to 4,300 will be support, and then the next target is somewhere above 6,500, and then we have also the 8,500 top from I think July last year. That's a big level there as well. So we'll keep an eye on it. And I wanted to show you also the total market cap of cryptocurrencies. This is from coinmarketcap.com, and we saw the total market cap get up to like 800 billion. That was in January last year, actually. That made a top after the Bitcoin top in December. And right now, total market cap is at 171 billion, and Bitcoin dominance is at 50%. And to finish off, I'd like to touch upon an interesting website called blocktivity.info, which measures blockchain activity. It's called the Blockchain Activity Matrix. And I'm not sure, this professor from UCLA Berkeley in the Economist magazine has ever looked at that, because you can see here, these are the activity. It says here, number of operation on the blockchain during the last 24 hours. So you can see that Wax, which I haven't followed closely. So Wax has had 7 million transactions in the last 24 hours. There's the AVI, which is the blockchain activity, a ratio of blockchain activity to market cap. So yeah, their market cap is quite small, so they're doing a lot of activity. Really, as you know, their ratio is quite high. EOS is 115. That ratio, it's lower. But if you look at Bitcoin, the ratio is 1. Bitcoin has had 1 million transactions in the last 24 hours. EOS has had over 6 million. TLOS, which is actually it's actually a blockchain that has forked off the EOS blockchain, and I even received tokens from TLOS, which is the TLOS Foundation. They've had 2 million transactions in the last 24 hours, and their AVI is very high, 7,800. BTS is BitShares, which was created partly also by the same guy who created EOS, Dan Larimer. And then you got Steam there, 1 million transactions. You can see the Steam AVI is quite high. Ethereum is lagging there behind. So this gives you an idea of how fast these blockchains are and how much scalability you have there. And then you have the capacity utilization. It looks like there's a warning there for Bitcoin, and see that all the other ones above are fairly low still, the capacity utilization. Ethereum is almost in the red there. So what am I doing with my cryptocurrencies? Well, I'm just holding on to them. I was fortunate enough to have the guts to buy some more EOS in November when it was dropping. I even bought some more below 2, and right now we're above 5. I'm not sure what my average is. I've been accumulating EOS before even it went to the mainnet, before the end of the fundraising that lasted 1 year. So yeah, I'm holding on to it. I think there's a future for blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Will they all succeed? No. With EOS, the way it's worked, I've got over 50 different tokens that have been issued as decentralized applications, and I've received free airdrops for having EOS at the genesis moment, which was June, I think, 2nd, 2018. So if you had a lot of these projects that have come out on the EOS blockchain, if you had a EOS on June 2nd, you should be receiving a lot of tokens. Some of them are not worth much. Some of them are actually picking up quite a bit right now. So, and also TLOS, for example, I received some tokens recently for that, and they used the amount that I had at the genesis. So if you didn't have EOS at the genesis, if you got out of EOS before it went mainnet because you wanted to take profit, you're not participating in any of this. So there you go. Is this the Economist bottom for cryptocurrencies? Well, we'll have to see. It's possible. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, share it far and wide with friends and people that you think might enjoy my content. Make sure you hit the little notification bell above to be notified of my new videos. You can also follow me on Twitter, Steemit, and on DTube. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.